is, what I'm going to say today is something that I was very hesitant to say. I wasn't going to say it. Kal v'chomer, in the Beis Medrash to say it. Kal v'chomer, ben b'noishal kal v'chomer, such a choshev tzibur of Bachrim. But last week, Rabbi Yankel Katz was here, and he said it in this Beis Medrash in front of this tzibur. So I just want to clarify this inyan. There are three different discussions as to the color when it comes to the Techeles. First discussion is the actual chilazon itself. What color is the chilazon itself? We discussed that Gufoy Doim Meliyam, Rikia, Techeles. The second discussion is what color is the Techeles? After a person dyes the wool and it's on his tzitzis, what color is it supposed to be? That's another discussion which Hashem will pick up a different time. Today, I would like to discuss what color is the dam chilazon. Because I'll say that there's dam of the chilazon, which are tzeveh, the Techeles, and the shaila is, what is the color before it dies onto the wool? What is the color of the dam? And it seems to be that there's a machlokes. Rambam shita, there's Rashi shita. We'll see, there's the Chavis Yoyer says a different side. Now, take the murex. There's no reason why the murex has to fit in with every single shita. It can't fit into really any shita. The only shita that fits in very well with only candidate that fits in very well with most of the shitas is the cuttlefish. But there's no reason to say that anybody's chilazon, the murex, has to fit with everything. But it has to fit with one. It has to be fitted with one of the colors that the Rishonim say. The Rambam, Hilchas Tzitzis, when he goes through the way to be tzeveh, the dam, the chilazon, he says that after you take the wool and you process it so that it can get absorbed by the dye, he says, "V'achar kach meviim dam chilazon, v'hu dag." We'll get back to this. He says it's a dag. Shedoime einay le'eina yam le'eina Techeles, v'damoy shachor keDyo. Its blood is black like ink. Uv'yam hamelach u'matzui. First, we say Yam HaMelech means in salty water, which means pashtus in the Mediterranean. Rambam Shita is that the dam is shachor keDyo. Shachor keDyo, we'll see behemshech, we'll see in the next following days. The shachor keDyo means black as it comes. Where's the makar for the Rambam? Rambam doesn't bring a makar, Kesfish doesn't bring a makar, and there's no chazal that say anything about what color the dam of the chilazon is. So the Radziner, Mikayach this and Mikayach other places, wants to suggest that the Rambam had the chilazon. He held the chilazon in his hand, he knew what it was, and he knew that it was dam keshach, shachor keDyo. He brings a raya also from the Pirush Mishnayos in Menachos that sounds a little bit like the Rambam might have had the chilazon, but they didn't have the process as had to process the dye. But the actual chilazon he might have had. If that's the case, then we know where the Rambam got his makar from. But the problem is it's not mashma really that the Rambam be'etzem knew what the chilazon was. Rav Avram ben Rambam writes, "Umishum iha karas hadag," because we don't know what the fish is. Al yidei mesayris meduyekes, we don't have a clear mesayir what it is. Nimna'a me'achroin me'amucharim asiyas atcheles. That's why we can't. The other later Rishonim, him he's referring to, and in the jars before, weren't able to produce the tzitzis with Techeles because we don't have a Messiah, he says, and we have no hakara. We're not familiar with what fish the chilazon is. It's clear that there of a Rambam and a Rambam, it's a shtickle would be a shtickle pele if the Rambam himself knew what it was and he had it and he decided, and that he shouldn't give over that Messiah to his son. It's a shtickle ara. So the pashtus most go is that the Rambam Taka did not have the chilazon in his time. And the Rambam in Tshuva, he says like that, smells a little bit like that also. Now, when it comes to the Murex is on a very big collision course now with facts. The Murex, the dam of the Murex, not dam, but the fluid, the secretion that comes out of the Murex is not black. It's yellowish, clearish, very clear, almost like saliva. Now, the Rambam says that damo is shachor keDyo. That doesn't stim. So there's one of two things that you have to say. Either that the Murex is not the chilazim, according to the Rambam. That would be one possibility. Or, since you know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that the Murex is the chilazim, that's pashut, that's proven beyond the doubt. So then the only other option is to say that the Rambam is wrong. The Rambam sort of made a mistake. And that's what the Techeles, who's one of the strong supporters of the Murex, brings down from Rav Herzog, that the Rambam was a toast in the Rambam. Where did the Rambam, this is what he mentions of Yankel Katz, where did the Rambam get this from? He just made it up? No. They say the Rambam saw it in the writings of Aristotle, nothing less. He saw it in Aristotle. In Volume 5, Chapter 15, in Aristotle. And not only did the Rambam see it in Aristotle, but apparently it was misunderstood from Aristotle, because Aristotle never says it like this, but they say that he got it from Aristotle, and sort of it was misunderstood by the Rambam as to what Aristotle meant. And now, if chilazim is the Murex, it would be a pella that the Rambam himself, and if he knew it, obviously if they're saying that he went to Aristotle, that means he looked up the Murex in Aristotle, because that's where the Rambam is what they said got it from this prat. He got it from the part that Aristotle speaks of the Murex. And Murex was available abundantly in the time of the Rambam, there's no question about it. And for some reason they say that he knew that it was the Murex, but he looked it up in Aristotle to get his mikar and for his information, instead of just getting a hold of it and checking it himself. And since Aristotle writes that when you open up the shell, you take out the place where the dye, he says a lashon, he says it now. Another important point is that the Rambam didn't read it in Latin, lashon that it was written by Aristotle, but he read the translation that misled him in Arabic. And there's the actual Aristotle writes a lashon of maybe a darkish, maybe a faint, not clear the lashon. They say what he meant, but the Rambam read it in Arabic to mean black. The Rambam wrote in his Hilchos Tzitzis that he knows that it's damo shachor keDyo based on what his translation was in Aristotle. But it's not only that translation, because within that same line, Aristotle himself writes that it's darkish or black, whatever you're going to say, and he says, and many of them have red. So why would the Rambam now say that it's black if in that same sentence he says that there are some that are red? And not only that, but so they say that, okay, the Rambam Takim got his information from Aristotle. It's like a pellet. Like he said, it's a shtickle kfi. It's kind of good. And he got it from Aristotle. So what's Takim shot then? If Aristotle's right and that it's the Murex, and Aristotle writes that it's black, so what's Takim shot? So you say no. Aristotle never meant black. He meant it's a darkish, and therefore what he meant is clearly he meant blue. Now, the Murex is not blue either, so that's not going to do them any well anyway. So they say that the Rambam really never meant to say, Aristotle never meant, even though it's clearly that he does, but it says he never really meant to say the color of the dye that you take out. It meant the color of the dye, the color after you dye the wool. In a certain process, sometimes it comes out other colors, but it could come out also blue, and that's what Aristotle meant over there. That's how they say pshat. Now, Avada, this couldn't have been more rochik min ha'emes to say like that in the Rambam, that the Rambam got it from Aristotle. It's mamish lo yala ladas, such a thing. The Makar for the Rambam is, there's a few Makaris. The Titkuni Azayar brings down the Furish that the dam of the chilazim is black. Medrash HaGodol brings down that the dam chilozin is black, and the smag brings down, and not the makar for the Rambam obviously, but he brings down that the dam is black. So the makars for the Rambam are clear from Torah. It's nothing from anything else. The machshava, just to think like that, B'das Rambam, just to rectify, because you know for a fact what it is. So Mela, this everything that gets in the way has to be pushed away, including the Rambam, to give a license to say that the Rambam's makar was based on writings from Aristotle and a mistake understanding of what he wrote. Chalul to say such a thing like that, and we'll continue weiter. Yesterday we started the union of the Rambam brings down damo, shachor, keDyo.